up, you guys? It's the Curious Owl here, and I am going to tell you guys my worst rated books in 2017. Now, as I told you guys in my best books of 2017 video, I didn't have many books in the year that I actually really disliked to the point that I rated them 2 stars or lower, and that was actually really good. I had, I think, way more books that I actually enjoyed. I had a lot of books that were 5 stars, as you guys could see, and I definitely had a lot of books that were more 3 or 4 stars that I didn't really want to mention, as I didn't feel that they were super important to talk about. And so I do have 4 books that were rated 2 stars or lower in the course of 2017, which isn't too bad. I feel like I had a pretty good reading year. But so without further ado, here are the 4 books that I really did not like. So the first book that I really did not like in 2017 was Ruby by Cynthia Bond, mostly because I had no freaking idea what this book was even talking about. I did enjoy the fact that the book was written in a kind of certain dialect. It was written in an African American dialect that seemed to be much older, as the book I think took place in like the 60s in the South, and so I could clearly see the dialect, but it was very hard to read at times. And the synopsis itself, from what I remember, was so bizarre that I don't even know what was supposed to be the main plot. So I ended up I don't think I even rated this one because it was before I started doing my Goodreads stuff, which I started in the summer, and I read this I think in like the early months of 2017, but if I had rated it, I think I would have rated it like a 1 star. The second book that I did not like was Fallen by Lauren Kate. This one I think I ended up giving maybe 2 stars because I thought the book was interesting to a point, but I thought it was way kind of too cliche for what I was thinking. I just didn't really get what was going on. I really didn't like it, and I don't know. I didn't like the main guy either, I think. It wasn't really that interesting to me. The third book was an audiobook, and that was Magic from the Septimus Heap series by Angie Sage. I did listen to the entire audiobook of, and I did enjoy it to a point, but the problems I really had with it were I thought it was very juvenile. I thought that sometimes it was really hard to figure out what was going on, especially in terms of who was really the perspective we were looking from. And it just didn't grip me as much as I think I wanted it to, because it was one of those books that I remember when I was a kid, everyone had loved growing up. They read all the 7 books in the series. And finally, the first book I ever DNF'd in the year in November was Blackheath by Gabrielle Lepore. Now, I went into a whole thing talking about how I do not like Gabrielle Lepore's writing. It is definitely way too fast-paced. I don't feel like there's really anything that is able to stick with you in your mind. In particular, I did read another one of her books previous to Blackheath, but I still only rated it like 3 stars because I didn't feel that it was that impressive. Blackheath was actually one of the only books in this year that I actually DNF'd. I have another one that I actually forgot about that I should mention in a few minutes, but this one in particular, it was so hard to even figure out what was going on, and the synopsis on Goodreads was even more confusing because it was supposed to be about, I think, this girl who has this curse on her, and she goes to this boy who everyone thinks is a witch and try to get the curse lifted, and then there's something going on with him and his mom and just all kinds of craziness. I didn't really get it. It was way too fast-paced to even understand what was going on. And finally, I actually remembered I have a 5th book that I rated fairly low, and that's because I also DNF'd this book, and it is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, honestly, I did enjoy this book for what it was. I did enjoy it, but the reason I DNF'd it was because I don't think at the time I was reading it, it was for me. Because it's a memoir about a woman who's gone through a lot in her life, has gone through a divorce and a very, very toxic relationship following her divorce. And so in order to try to kind of get away from everything that's been happening to her, she decides to go to 3 different countries over the course of a year: Italy, India, and Indonesia, in order to kind of try to find herself again and really kind of just come back into her own, as for the last several years of her life she hasn't had that and has felt very stifled and very kind of grounded in drama and just a lot of negativity, and she needs to kind of branch out. Now, I will say it was very enjoyable to read it. There were some very funny moments and some very heartbreaking moments when she would talk about things in her past. But again, at the time I was reading it, it definitely was not a book for me, mostly because I was not in a point where I was going through any kind of big transition or any major heartbreak that I felt I needed this book. This is definitely a book that I think is for those of you who are going through very big transitions in your life, where you're leaving people or you're moving or something like that. It's definitely something for more sad individuals, I think, than happy individuals like myself, because at the time I was reading it, I was feeling good. Things were starting to kind of really fall into place for me. And this book just really brought me down. And so I'm DNFing it for now, but it is possible that in the future that if I get to a point where I'm like, I need something to pull me out of a slump or pull me out of like a funk, I may come back to this book, but not on my top priority as of now, at least. So there you guys go. Those are my worst books of 2017 list, basically, with only one book that really wasn't worse. It was just the one I had DNF, which I kind of had to put in this list because DNFs, I think, is pretty low rated. But anyway, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, not very many books that I disliked. Definitely the ones that I did dislike, though, were for very specific reasons, and I feel that they are not good books, and I just did not like them at all. But let me know what you guys thought of them down in the comments below. If you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or if there's something that you didn't like in the year that you want to talk about, and I will definitely respond to your guys' comments. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.